G'day and welcome to Beyond Sobriety, a podcast where you'll hear real stories of recovery and resilience come to life. I'm Michael and I'm an alcoholic, your host and fellow journeyer on the road to sobriety. As someone who has walked the path of addiction and found solace in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, I understand the challenges and triumphs that come with striving for sobriety. And it's with this understanding and empathy that we've created this podcast. Our purpose here at Beyond Sobriety is simple yet profound: to provide a platform where individuals can share their experience with alcoholism openly and authentically. Through candid conversation, personal narrative, and expert insights, we aim to inspire hope, foster understanding, and offer a beacon of light to those still navigating the shadows of addiction. We'd love for you to be a part of this growing community. If you find value in the stories that you hear today, please consider liking and leaving a comment and sharing this episode with somebody who might benefit from hearing it. Your support will help spread the message of hope and resilience to more people who need it. I'm Michael and I'm an alcoholic, and this is Beyond Sobriety. Okay, so we're here with Lewis. Lewis, why don't you introduce yourself, mate?
Yeah, thanks, Lewis. I'm 52 years of age, just a little bit over 7 years in recovery.
7 years sober.
Yeah.
Mate, it's an achievement. I remember hearing those numbers when I first walked through the door, and 24 hours was something that would absolutely blow my mind. But when I hear people in new sobriety, when I used to hear people saying, 7 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's something I just couldn't comprehend.
Yeah, I was very similar. I remember when I walked into the rooms the first time around through a different fellowship 20-something years ago, and the guy that met me at the door said, my name's so-and-so, and I've been here for 29 years, and I went, you're full of crap. My head was just straight away just went to that, you're full of crap.
Yeah, I didn't believe people either. I went I guess this just shows the craziness that goes on in your head. Mm. I would sit there in the meeting, I'd be like, oh, this person's all jiggly and fidgety, and they're shaking their leg or biting the nails. Oh, they're lying. And these people I've gotten to know over the years, and they're the nicest people. And they're not lying. They've got good, healthy lives now. Yeah. But it's just the lies we tell ourselves.
Yeah, it is. And now as you go along in sobriety and recovery, I also got compulsive gambling, so I've got a little bit of a dual thing going through. And I said, oh, a lot of those people that I was judging actually do. They are the nice people. They've had a past, and like I have, and all that sort of stuff, but they are generally trying to be a better person through recovery, so.
Yeah. Look, it's interesting that you brought up gambling as well. The way I described it in one of the earlier episodes was that it's kind of like there's the big fish, there's the whale, which is the main issue or addiction, and then there's the other little ones that follow behind it. Would you say that you're gambling just as bad, or is it, I guess, which one's your first love?
Alcohol.
Alcohol?
From a very young age. I picked up alcohol probably at the age of 9, and I often share in meetings that alcohol was my first love.
Yeah.
So I came to Australia, I was 13, so I grew up around my uncles and all that in Portugal and in Europe. Mm. And that's all I saw was drinking. That's what men did, was drink and gamble, and gamble. I'm not blaming on that, but that's what I saw. So that was the culture that I had.
Yeah. Oh, of course. So, that kind of leads us into our first question. I guess the attitude towards alcohol in your family as a child growing up. So it was obviously all around, yeah? Yeah,
all around. My dad was an untreated alcoholic, even though you'd never admit to it.
Yeah.
And he died an untreated alcoholic. He was also a compulsive gambler, massively compulsive gambler. But again, that was the same thing. I think looking at it, which I do a lot of reading and a lot of trying to work out why, and I've got to the point now where I was just giving up or trying to work out why I became where I was. It was the same thing. That's what he grew up around. Yeah. So that was the examples that he had as he came up.
It's interesting you say that, because when I was growing up, there was always the idea that, people in Europe and Italy, they get their kids drinking young and they get taught how to drink properly and they respect it. And it's a little bit more, it seemed more sophisticated rather than the guy down the road having a VB with his shirt off. But at the end of the day, it does the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. And it's not educated. I call it a culture thing.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Because my grandparents had their own wine, made their own grappa, made their own things at home. So it was always there. It's funny enough, my dad's dad wasn't an alcoholic. Barely touched the drink.
Yeah.
So, but all my uncles on my dad's side, they were all pretty much the same.
How old were you when you first picked up?
My first big drunken night I was about 9 years old.
About 9 years old?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And it wasn't just a drink or two. It was about 7 or 8 bottles. They were in an esky, and my cousins and I polished them off.
Yeah. Was that done under the supervision of your parents,
No.
or was it just you guys just ran off? And
We were in a picnic in the park in the park basically, and my cousins and I saw the air skip, actually pulled it away, and off we went.
yeah,
Because I grew up with my grandmother until I was 13, until I came to Australia. It's a normal thing for my grandmother to give me a glass of wine every night with dinner.
yeah.
You know, in winter to warm up, because I had to walk to school and it was 20-something Ks each way.
You get the brandy and stuff.
The homemade brandy, you know, you warm up with that before you go to school. In the mornings for breakfast sometimes was soup, wine soup.
Okay.
So wine
soup
with bread
That's
in
a
it.
new one.
Wine with bread in it, and here you go. This will give you the strength to get to school.
Oh, mate, you're getting an eye opener when you're not even a teenager yet.
Yeah.
So how often would you drink? And I guess when did it start?
I came to Australia, as I said, I was 13, and then I fell into a group of people. They were friends of, my mum had family here, or the family, and we'd go out every weekend and get smashed.
Yep.
From the age of 13, every weekend would be like right off. You know, I remember when we moved to Bondi when we first came here, and we used to get on the bus with a few friends from North Bondi to Bondi Junction to get on the train to go to the city. We'd drink a heat flask of AP rum each before we even got to Bondi Junction. It's only, not far at all.
It's not far, no. It's only a couple of stops. So that was like a weekend occurrence for you during your, I guess, early high school.
Yeah, very early high school, year 8, year 9.
Would you say that you had a drinking problem right from the word go?
Yes. If I look at it today, yes, definitely. Because, again, it's the thing that we often say in the rooms is everyone else knew when to stop. I just didn't know. I didn't know when to stop.
So you would stop when it ran out or when you passed out?
I passed out, yeah. One of the two.
How old were you when you had your first passed out experience? Was it that first time?
Yeah, about 15.
Yeah, 15?
Yeah. It was about 15 when the sort of first blackout. It was very hard to remember the next day what happened the day before.
So that's it. Look, it's a young age. Do you put it down to being useful and enjoying the effect, or was there something you were trying to escape from?
At first, it was being useful. I believed it was just everybody else. That's what everybody else did. You know? So why am I going to be any different to them? You know, I'm lucky. I never. So we tried the drugs, but the drugs never sort of claimed me into it. So, so thank God for that. To be honest, otherwise I would have had the full trifecta or the full hamburger, as some people may say.
Yeah, that burger with a lot.
With a lot. So yeah, that was one of the things that sort of and I tried over the years, but never sort of grabbed me. But the alcohol and the drink and the gambling definitely. And it became, as years went by, I started having a lot of problems with my dad. Our relationship was very, very rough. Just, let's say, that was my escapism from very young. From the time I was 15, 16, I was drinking at least 3-4 times a week. I was at school and I was working at the same time, so I always had my own money. I always looked a little bit older too, so I didn't have any problems getting alcohol or anything like that. So
the wogs always develop early, don't they?
Yeah.
You got the full beard and
Full
stuff.
beard.
I didn't really start shaving till I was about 27.
Lucky you.
You said you've got 7 years of sobriety. You're in your 50s, so you're obviously quite functional for a long time. Or how did it affect your work, your relationships? Like, I'm talking about early 20s, mid 20s.
My early 20s was an absolute disaster. From the age of 20 until I sort of got married the first time around, I work in construction most of my life, so it was the old, smoker comes along, let's go to the pub. Lunch came along, let's go to the pub. Afternoon, we can't wait to get out of here so we can go to the pub. So it became a daily thing. But again, the same thing. Most people would go, oh, we've had enough, we're going home. Most of the time I'll find myself, a lot of times I find myself sleeping in the sheds waiting for the next morning to come so I can go back to work.
But despite that, you're obviously able to still hold down the job. Did you lose many jobs or? No,
I didn't. I didn't have money to spend on gambling and drinking. So if I lost my jobs, I would have been in trouble. So, and I don't call it a functioning alcoholic. I was called it as an alcoholic getting by. Yeah. Just getting by. I was never a functioning alcoholic, ever.
No, you're never functioning at 100%.
No.
Even when there's the times that you're sober between drinks. And I use that term loosely because by the end I was a daily drinker. By 4 p.m. I was drinking every day. But even when there was no alcohol in my system at the start of the day, throughout the morning and the afternoon, I find you still had that brain fog.
Yeah.
You couldn't escape it.
No. I found the same. I don't think I was ever sober before I started drinking again.
Okay.
So because by 10 o'clock we were in the pub having a schooner.
Yeah.
Because that's the time we had smoker. So we'd go to so we'd go and have 3 or 4 schooners, then go back to work.
Yeah.
And at midday we'd go back to the pub and have a jug of beer each.
No, you're poor liver. You never got a break.
I never drank Sundays.
Never drank Sundays?
Yeah, because I'll see, especially when I got married,
Yep.
I was a good father. I never drank Sundays.
Okay.
So I was present with the kids. I never drank Sundays.
Did you maintain that all the way up?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Well,
Yeah.
well done.
But that was just stubbornness.
By the end of it, I could imagine Sunday would have been so hard to get through.
Sometimes, because I had 5 years where I didn't drink,
Okay.
and I was just sober. That was all I was. I was a dry drunk for 5 years.
Okay.
Complete dry drunk. You know, as I go back and doing your inventory, as you know, you go back and see certain things. That's all I was. I was just a dry drunk in those 5 years. And I did have that stubbornness to prove to my first wife that I wasn't an alcoholic.
Yes.
That's all it was. You know? And then life changed again, and, you know, and certain things happened in life, and I just didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know? Put it this way, this is the madness of my head. I divorced my first wife in August. By the next June, I was married again. Those 5 years that I was with, the first 5 years I was with my second wife, I didn't drink.
Okay.
She's got a daughter, one of my stepdaughters, I still call them stepdaughters, even though we're not together anymore, that had brain surgeries and all sorts of stuff because she's got a rare disease where she creates too much fluid in the brain, all that sort of stuff. And I didn't know how to handle it.
So when you say you didn't drink, you mean not a drop?
Not a drop for 5
nothing.
years.
So completely cold turkey, just
Completely cold turkey, nothing.
Okay.
For 5 years.
You mentioned that you split up from your first wife. Do you blame alcohol for that?
Yes. I blame both alcohol and gambling. So when I got married and I started a business in construction.
Yes.
So, and very quickly they grew to a nice, decent sized business. So money was always there. There was no money problems. There was no this, that and the other. But I remember having a few arguments. And when I first sort of came into the rooms 20 odd years ago, I was actually forced by her saying, not forced, but she said, well, you either do something about what you got, your problem, or I'm out of here. I went for about a year, but no, I was never sober the whole year. Yeah, I was going straight from the pub to
you hit it. So you're saying you hit it?
Yeah, I hit it pretty much.
You hit it?
Yeah.
What was some of the stuff you used to do to hide it?
Well, stuff that I used to, anyway, mate, in the car, drink in the car. I drink all day, to be honest. You know, I had a routine because my routine was get up in the morning early, go to the office or go through the sites or whatever sites I had. By 12 o'clock, I was in the club having lunch. And then I'd try and be home at, you know, in reasonable time through all that time. Or I'd ring up, I'm going to a meeting.
So you used to go to meetings drunk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight from the club.
Yeah.
So it's sitting in front of a poker machine for 3 hours and drinking for 4 or 5 hours.
Did the people at the meeting know that you're doing that, or you lied to them?
Oh, I lied to them, but they knew. They could see straight away.
Oh, you can tell.
You can tell straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, they knew. And I never identified even through that year as an alcoholic. I'd never get up and go, hi, I'm Lewis, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm Lewis, I'm a compulsive gambler. Yeah. I'm just go, hi, I'm Lewis. And I barely share, like as we do.
Yeah. And we can't stop you from sharing now.
Yeah, thanks, mate. After that, went 6 months without a drink in that sort of relationship. It was a discussion that we had, and I promised her, said, look, let's have another kid, because we had our oldest girl, and said, let's have another kid. He's going to be my saviour, and I won't drink. That lasted about 6 months. And I went back to it straight away.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I swore black and blue to my wife that, no, this is the last one, and I'd be pouring it down the sink. It wouldn't be 12 hours later. Yeah. I was on my way home from work. I was picking up more. It just, the willpower was completely gone. And I guess it speaks to the madness of the obsession. Yeah. And you'll talk to people, different people, and say, the obsession won't start until you pick up the first drink. Well, I feel that through a lot of those times, obsession never left me at all. Yeah. You know, it was always there, even without picking up that first drink. But a lot of the times I wasn't, like I was saying to you before, I wasn't sober anyway. I still had some sort of alcohol in my system anyway. Yeah. So. Do you think you fooled your wife? No. Yeah. No, it got to the point where she said, enough's enough, you need to go. Yeah. We tried marriage counselling at first and she wasn't interested. And I remember the counsellor at the time, we came to the second session, she ended up leaving and I stayed and sort of talked to the counsellor for a little bit, and the counsellor suggested, do you think you might have a problem with alcohol? And my head just went, I don't know how I didn't call her names or anything. And my head just went, this so-and-so just called me an alcoholic. Yeah. And funnily enough, I left there and I went straight to an AA meeting. So that was your first or your second? First marriage. First marriage. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, first marriage. My addiction definitely destroyed both my marriages. I can guarantee that. See, the second marriage, we broke up within 2.5 years, almost 3 years sober. Yeah. This time around. But again, it was a sort of thing where nothing else had changed. I was just not drinking and I was just not gambling. We say that quite matter-of-factly. You say, yeah, drinking destroyed my marriage. And for you, it happened twice. It occurs to me that meant, and this is by no means a judgment at all, that meant that you chose alcohol over your wife.
100%.
And possibly, there's no guarantee, we don't have a crystal ball, we can't go back. But if you weren't drinking, then you could still be married to that first relationship.
The first relationship, look, a lot of things happen in a relationship.
Of course.
No, I don't think I would.
Okay.
But the second one, yeah, definitely. Second one, definitely.
But like, I just want to pause there for a second, just kind of appreciate the gravity of that, to go, another person I pledged my life to, like I said, no judgment. I did the same thing. I would have chosen drinking over my relationship, over my family, over my kids. I would have chosen that any day of the week. To actively choose that, it goes towards the absolute mental obsession when it comes to drinking that people just don't understand. People out there go, oh, look, just don't drink. Oh, just have one or two, just stop. You go, do you have any idea what kind of a hold this has on some people's lives?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love about the program, is that you're forced to confront your own flaws, insecurities, and deal with them.
It's not nice, is it?
No, it's horrible. It sucks.
It really does.
It's kind of like you clean your room. You got to make it messier before it becomes tidy again. You know, you got to get all the crap out from under your bed, under the sink, and the vanity, and all that stuff. You've got to do that to tidy up properly.
Yeah. Oh,
and it's not fun. It's easier just to shove it under the bed and pretend it's not there.
Lift up the rug and just push it in there.
What was your rock bottom?
My rock bottoms have got a trap in it.
It's always further you can go down.
Yeah, there's always further you can go down. So the only way I can sort of keep that trap shut is by not hitting the next rock bottom, and that's only treating my head.
Yes.
Which is my problem. You know, it's always been my problem. And the more I sit down with my sponsor and go through stuff, the more I see that the alcohol wasn't actually the problem. The problem with the alcohol was I didn't know when to, I had to stop.
Yeah.
I went to stop. Enough was enough. Or even the gambling was the same. My problem comes from here. I think the world sees me, or the world should see me.
Yes.
People say, oh, you could just need to get your ego smashed, and 100%. I'm not against that, and I believe that 100% too. But my ego was created by me to the point that I wanted to be this person that I could never be, for a start.
Yeah.
And this person that I thought that everyone else wanted me to be. So this is where I had so many problems with my dad, was because I thought my dad wanted me to be this person. And in fact, I don't know if he did or not. I never had the chance to actually discuss that with him, because unfortunately he's gone and I wasn't sober when he passed.
Yeah. And
that's just an illusion that I've created. It's like me sitting here saying, oh, you want me to be this. But you haven't said anything to me.
No.
My head's already gone there.
Yeah.
You know, it's as simple as that. And when I failed to get to that point, I had to run away.
Yeah.
I had to go and hide that shame, that remorse, that guilt. Oh, I failed. I'm failing these people. In fact, the only person I've failed all my life is myself.
I think you've said that absolutely beautifully, to be honest with you. That was outstanding, because I had a very similar experience. I struggled with dyslexia, and I could never really read very well or spell very well as a child. That's kind of, always been my thing. I could never go to uni because I'm dumb, or people look down on me. And then I created a reality where I was just there saying to myself, this is what life's been like for me ever since I was a child. And when I went home to my parents' house, my mum gave me a book of Year 5, and I looked at it and I was reading through the comments and my spelling and my grammar and everything. And I was like, if my son, who's about, I've got 2 kids, 2 sons, I've got a daughter as well. But if my son, who's about that age, gave me a book like that he had done, I would be over the moon. I was going, maybe I wasn't as dumb as what I thought I was. The way you said it kind of, it made something click in my head to go, it's that reality that we tell ourselves that we're less than, we're not as good as what we should be. And then we use that excuse to get pissed off at the world, and we go out there and have a drink.
Yeah. That illusion that I've got to be this person, which nobody has told me I needed to be that person.
Once you decided to stop drinking, how long did it take you to actually put down the bottle?
But the last drink I had, I literally found myself in a gutter, and I sort of shared on this last night, and I had no need to be there.
Yeah.
In that gutter. I had a loving family at home. And I just went, I can't do this anymore. Really went, because I can't do this anymore. This was a Saturday night, and following Monday I was back in the room, walking into the rooms at Macquarie Field.
It was a decision that you made at one point, and like you didn't go, all right, I've got 2 days, I drank again, I've got 3 days. It was
this last time, it was just bang, gone.
I admire people who can do that. I couldn't do it. It took me about 3 or 4 months, I think. Yeah. You were there when I first came into the rooms. It took me a while. I think I was a bit quiet when I first got there. I never stood up and ID'd.
I remember that.
Yeah, I never would. When we asked for people to stand up who were 90 days sober, I did it once because I was at 87 days and I realised I wasn't going back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to stand up and say something and then have to go back. And again, no one would have cared.
No.
But that's the reality. I built that reality in my head going, I can't let people down.
And there's people judging me. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
There's people sitting here judging me. And when they're not, in the room especially, they're not.
No, there's no judgment in the rooms. And we've got a really good group. I love our group. And when I got sober, and I've been sober for about probably 6 months, I was there going, I don't need to come back anymore. I'm good. I missed everyone. I fell in love with them.
Some of my greatest friendships I've had over my life, it's actually formed up in the group. And it's not people that I see all the time. Like I said, I've known people, I've got good friends in America and Canada. Yeah. I've never seen this, but I've never met these people. And it's just through messages, through COVID, Zoom meetings, and also so that I met these people. I was part of this group in North Queensland, which was a 24-hour marathon meeting. It was 24 hours a day that they used to be on. And I used to do a bit of service there. I used to do 2 or 3 times a week there. And I met a lot of these people from everywhere around the world. We're in constant contact, how you going, this, that, and the other, how's your children, she's got a granddaughter that's very sick too. So, and you can feel it. You can actually feel it, even though you've never met this person, the love that the room actually creates. Yeah. And it takes me back to when I came to the first meeting this time around, where the person that was at the door welcomed me and he just looked at me straight out and he just went, let me love you until you learn how to love yourself. Yeah. I went, wow. And my head was sort of, I'm not that way inclined, but it's all right, mate,
So you've spoken a little bit about you'd never felt you could measure up. Was that your main fear? Because I guess that's attached to our fears. We do a fear inventory in AA, and we look at the areas in our life that we're scared of. Oh. And, I'm man enough to admit I get scared. Yeah. Was there any other fears attached?
There's plenty. There's lots of fears. There's fears of everything coming through, and I'm doing it again. I've done the steps. This is the third time around I'm doing the steps, and I'm actually we're doing it a bit more thoroughly this time, and just the stuff that pops up. And a lot of them are the same fears. I'll give you an example. I never thought I was a resentful person ever in my life. I haven't got a resentful bone in my head. Mate, I've been doing step 4 now for the last 3 months, and we're still going. Yeah. All resentments. So you go, oh, okay. But I never understood that either, what the resentment was. So I was a sort of person, I don't hold a grudge. Yes. The grudge and the resentment is completely different. I see them completely different today. Yeah. I didn't realise that those resentments was sticking there, or they were just diving in deeper and deeper, and building up. Yeah. So who, apart from yourself, obviously, who do you think was the most affected by your drinking? Oh, my kids. My kids are both my life. Like my parents, especially my mum, was very much affected by it, because mum's always ended up coming to my aid because of all the stuff that I'd caused. Yeah. Even caused it within their marriage with mum and dad, because mum would try and stick up for me, and dad, would use that as against her because, you're always sticking up for him. Just have a look what he's doing. So the main people would have been my parents. Yes. Mum especially, my kids, and both my wives. And to a certain point, even my partner now. Even though I'm a completely different person to who I was even 12 months ago, I see it. Well, I'm not cured. No. I'm not cured. So that stuff still pops up, and the learning to communicate. That might have been my hardest thing, is learning to communicate. Yeah. Well, what do they say? It's progress, not perfection. Not perfection, yeah. Yeah, no. I used to think I was perfect. So did I. Yeah. Just ask me, I'll tell you.
That's one thing I've realised, is that I don't know if it's common trait or some kind of psychological glitch in all of our heads, but we all know how to talk. Oh, yeah. We can all spin a yarn, and we can go, we're all getting tapped on the shoulders at the end of the 5-minute share, like, hey guys.
Look at share, and
it's time
to go.
Hi everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. This podcast is all about sharing real stories of resilience, recovery, and hope. Stories that remind us that we're not alone in this journey. If you'd like to support this work and help us reach more people, there are a few simple ways you can make a difference. Take a moment to like this episode, leave a comment, or share it with someone who you think might benefit from hearing it, whether it's a friend, family member, or somebody in your recovery community. Your support could touch the lives and inspire someone in their road to sobriety. Your stories are important. They remind us that we are not alone and help us all stay sober. What we're doing here creates a space where people can share their experiences, feel understood, and find inspiration to keep moving forward. By supporting the show, you're helping to amplify those voices and ensure that more people who need to find this message can. If you'd like to share your story and be interviewed, please email me at beyondsobrietyaa@gmail.com. Every journey is unique, and your experience could be exactly what someone needs to hear to find hope, strength, or inspiration. This podcast thrives on real stories from real people, and your voice has the power to make a difference in somebody's life. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to connect and discuss how your story can be a part of Beyond Sobriety. Thank you for your support. Together we can continue to make a difference. Now, let's get back to the episode. So did you try anything else before AA, or was it always just AA?
No, I didn't do rehab. Between AA and GA, I did a couple of years of GA as well, but I now just do the one.
Yeah, I caught up a few rehab places when I was trying to get sober. I was trying to act very professional, and the other guy's like, it doesn't sound like this place is for you. Maybe you can try some other things. And then I went to the doctor. The doctor tried to put me on medicine, but what I found was interesting is that none of them suggested AA. It was kind of like a lightning moment where I was just like, give that a go. Why didn't I think of that? But the best part was that when I told the doctor how much I drank, he goes, don't stop cold turkey, he goes, because it could kill you. And I was like, that was just a license. I got home.
I've got to keep drinking.
Got home. I said to my wife, I swear, she thought I'll go to the doctor and come back fixed. I said, look, I've got to keep on drinking. The doctor says so. She's like, what? That got her pretty annoyed.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, my mum still asks me, she goes, you still go to those meetings? And I said, yeah. She goes, so you picked up the drink again? I said, no, Mum, but I've got to keep going. And she does. They don't understand.
They don't understand.
They don't understand it.
The people outside, they don't get it. And that's okay.
No.
It's fine. It's a subculture. We're a part of a community where the rules are different. And we know that, I used to think, once I get sober, I won't have to go to meetings anymore. But you need to. And
you only start seeing that, I believe, and it's my belief, is you only still start seeing the difference is, okay, well, I'm sober now. And I saw that when I split up with my second wife, I'm sober. But where am I in life? So, and I had no so-called, as we talk about, recovery.
Yes.
And for me, there's two different things, The split up with my second wife, for me, was a kickoff of my recovery.
Yeah.
I went and got outside help.
Yeah.
I went to a counsellor for me when we split up. And the funny thing is, this lady that I went to, she was a Christian lady, but by accident. It wasn't something that I picked. It was just, I saw some of the comments on her and just come up. She didn't know nothing about AA, NA, or any of that sort of stuff. And everything she said to me in that hour and a half, 2 hours I was with her, was everything I'd heard in AA for the last 3 years.
There you go.
And I went, Neil, what?
Yeah.
I said, and I actually said to her, I don't believe you've never been to a meeting. She goes, I wouldn't have a clue what they are. And I went, okay. And that sort of kicked me off and go, okay, well, that's stuff that I've been told over the years and years, even before I got into AA, and I just never was open to listen to it.
I mean, what struck me was the first time I read the book was how religious it was.
You have a look at it.
Yeah.
So from the Oxford group, that breakaway from the Oxford group is what kicked off AA with Bill and and stuff. So if you read a little bit of history, and I haven't read it all, but what I understand is they had to base it on a power greater than you.
Oh, absolutely.
God.
Yeah.
So I hate the word, to be honest. A power greater than you, or your higher power. It's either, and the part of the book that actually tells it's either God or nothing.
Yeah. Well, I guess because we're always used to putting ourselves on that pedestal. There's nothing I can't do. There's nothing I can't fix. I used to have a real sense of pride in it. Like I told you that I built that wall, one of the walls here in my study. I built that. I'd never built a wall before. Can't be that hard. I can do it.
Yeah.
And I did it because I'm my own God. And when it came to drinking, I couldn't stop.
No.
It doesn't matter how much church I went to, I couldn't stop.
No.
It doesn't matter how much I prayed and fasted, I could not stop drinking.
Yeah. I grew up as a Catholic.
Yep.
Till I was going to church every Sunday and did all the stuff for Easter and Christmas and everything. Well, I lived with we lived together with my grandmother and that before we came here to Australia. So, but again, my grandmother built into me that if I was always going to be punished for all the bad stuff that I did, God was always going to punish me, right? So I was baptized as a Catholic, I did my first communion, all that sort of stuff. Met my first wife, and when we were getting married, I got baptized again.
Yep.
In the Orthodox, because otherwise the priest would have married me, would have married us.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just bananas. You guys are saying, no, because I've got baptized in a Catholic church, it's a different God to what it is in an Orthodox church.
We've got a different flavour here.
We have flavour here. And again, build up that other stuff about the resentment that I had towards God when I first came back in the rooms.
Yeah.
Because the good stuff that happened was my doing. The bad stuff was God that was doing it.
Yeah, I blame God for everything wrong in my life.
No.
You know, I'd done everything right. Yeah. I'd followed everything that my parents said. I'd gone to the right church. I bought the safe car. I got the safe job. You know, I did everything right, and yet I wasn't content, and that was God's fault.
Yeah, always.
What's one of the high points you have in sobriety? What's one of the things that you can point out and go, I would not have this if it wasn't for my sobriety?
Waking up every morning with a clear head.
It's always a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's underrated. Like, people don't mention it much. Yeah, I thank God for that every day.
I can go to bed slightly noisy.
Yep.
And I'll do a couple of prayers in just to myself. Next morning, my head very quickly goes back to noisy.
Yeah.
But I'll wake up with a clear mind. And look, in my case, while I was drinking, there was no anxiety because by the time I talked to anybody, I'd already had a few. So.
Well, you've had a bit of hair of the dog.
So,
you said you had a few issues with God. What is your high power?
My high power is very much God from the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah. And
it's probably a lot due to your upbringing and things.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. A good friend of mine, or has been a good part of my recovery especially, is a pastor of a local church not far from here anyway, and was sort of merrily split up with my second wife. I'll spend a fair bit of time with him every sort of Tuesday. We'd sit down and go through there, and that sort of got me over that that resentment that I thought I had, because again, it was an illusion that I had.
What do you most regret about your drinking time, and what would you do differently?
It's always a tough one for me. The regrets are very much, all my drinking career was a regret, to be honest. But it's part of who I am today.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, it's got me to where I am today and the person that I am today. Anything I do different, I don't know, mate, to be honest. I couldn't tell you, because life's through so much stuff. You know, again, I grew up with my grandmother from the moment I was born till I was 13. My whole life got upside down. I got moved from one end of the world to the next. Yeah. And certain things that happen through life and whatnot, you know, partners cheating on you, all that sort of stuff. A lot of people go through. You know, I was in a car accident at 11 years old. We rolled 11 times. Just trauma that sits there and we don't even realise. I couldn't tell you. Look, I'd like to think that with the knowledge, if I had the knowledge that I've got today, I'd do things very, very differently. Yes. I'd be a different person. I definitely wouldn't be thinking that I've got to live to these expectations that weren't really there. Yeah. Very hard question, to be honest. Yeah, it's hard to, like, unless you've got like a defining situation or a specific incident. You know, I probably a million conversations and angry words as well I'd take back. Yeah. Oh, that all would. I've just been lucky, I suppose, or God's looked after me. I put them all down. God's looked after me to that point. But, you know, and I'm one of those people who say, I've never contemplated suicide. But what was I doing every day? Yeah, you're slowly killing yourself. So what's the difference, you know? Yeah, exactly. You just do it. It's the same thing. So you've obviously done the steps a few times. What was one of the hardest amends that you had to make? My mum. Your mum? It's about 2 weeks ago. Oh, really? You kind of delayed that a bit, didn't you? I've done a few amends to mum, but this was the first one I actually feel was a sincere amends. What you want to go into that? What happened? I've got a problem. Look, again, I always blame mum for not leaving dad. Yep. And I didn't realise, to be honest, I didn't even realise that until not long ago. So there was that resentment there towards mum about, and she didn't even know about that. So there's something like I felt need to go into that. And I still haven't had a response from her, because I actually wrote her a letter and I gave her the letter and went through a few things in there. The response, we were sort of a little bit off for a couple of months before that, before I actually went ahead and wrote that letter to her. Yeah. And that's actually, since even though she hasn't said anything, it's actually brought us closer a little bit, which I'm okay with it. Yeah. She doesn't have to say anything. It's stuff that I needed to get out towards her. So she's definitely been my hardest of all things. Dad, a bit different, because Dad's not here. Yep. I've tried going to the cemetery and sitting there and actually speak to him, but yeah, it's been a bit. But now doing this one with mum and not having quite a response from mum, I suppose, it might make it a bit easier, but that'll come around. Hi everyone, I hope you're enjoying the show so far. In this next section, we share our personal experiences and positive reflection on our relationship with our mothers. I acknowledge that not everybody may share this experience, and for those of you who find this topic difficult, I sincerely apologise. It's interesting you say that. I was expecting you were going to say something about one of your ex-wives. Yeah, because mums, they love you like no one else. It doesn't matter what happens. Unconditional love. It's just always there. Yeah. And I know what I put mum through.
Yeah.
You know, I know exactly what I put my mum through.
I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there that their mums aren't like that. And we're lucky enough to have that experience with our parents, or with our mum at least. And because like relationships can come and go. I mean, I'm looking behind you, and the house just over the road from us, they moved out today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've been married for over 20 years. Their marriage split up and they sold that house. They got 2 teenage daughters, and there's a new family right now moving into it. I've been watching them get the keys from the real estate as we've been talking. And so like relationships, doesn't matter how long they are, they can and do fall apart. But I guess there's nothing like the parents.
No.
Like at least that, like again, that's my experience. And
Yeah.
you don't have that experience. Very sorry.
No, and I'll tell you what sort of made me realise that more. My partner at the moment that I've got, her mum's got dementia, and we go and visit her. Just realising that I'm lucky enough that I can still talk to my mum and she'll remember the conversation we'll have, where she'll go and see her mum. Next time we'll go and she doesn't recognise us. That actually made me appreciate what I've got, really did, to be honest, you know.
And my grandmother was like that. I used to go visit her, and the last time I spoke to her, she was yelling at me because she thought just didn't know who I was. And that's my last memory I have of her. So I choose to remember her differently.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's if you got your parents in your life and they're good parents, they're a blessing. 7 years and 3 sets of steps. What made you come to that realisation that was one of your resentments?
Good talk with my sponsor.
It's always good to have a good sponsor, isn't it?
Good talk with my sponsor. And it dug deep enough where that just blurred out. We weren't even talking about mum when that sort of stuff came out. We're talking about resentments, this and the other, and stuff that you're sort of digging into, and they just went blah. So I need to do this, and we did a resentment there and then. Yeah. And that sort of drove me to, like I said, mum didn't know I felt like that. I felt compliant to go, you know what, she deserves to know how I felt, and it's not her fault because she was doing the best that she could do in her life. She's put it what it is. She's an old wog, and she got brought up where you marry the man, you got to put up with the cross.
Oh, exactly.
You got to bear the cross, you know.
Yeah, there wasn't divorce.
No.
It wasn't. It was this is it.
Yeah.
This is.
So she did her best. She did her best to bring, you know, I've got a younger brother, there's about an 8.5 years difference from us, and she did the best that she could. You know, mum migrated to France very, very young. She was 16, 17, you know, and then she met my dad. She fell pregnant with me, and she moved from France to Portugal. Yeah. You know, completely different country again, you know. Yeah. And here I am whinging about my parents moving from Portugal to here to give my dad, my brother and I a better life, you know. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and
what can you do?
No, that's it.
Exactly. Did you have for want of a better word, a coming out moment where you told people that you go, look, I'm actually an alcoholic, or was it something that happened organically, or was it something
I think it just happened organically. You know, when I came back into the room, I knew I was an alcoholic for a long time. Yeah. I had no doubts of that.
Really? I fought it.
We used to joke about it with my mates, and we're all just a bunch of alcoholics. Yeah. And we used to go, but we manage it. Well, I wasn't managing nothing. Yeah. I wasn't. Anyway, so, but yeah, I knew I was an alcoholic. So, when he came to the point, you know, like I said, that first meeting when I came back, I had no problem just going, I'm an alcoholic. I know I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. I had a problem accepting a grateful alcoholic. That was a different story, you know. So who the heck wants to be grateful that they're an alcoholic? You know, it just...
No, exactly.
I'm grateful to know that today what's wrong with me.
Yeah, me too. Like I'm reading a book at the moment, and the person there is going, oh, you know, I didn't want to be labelled as an alcoholic, and she's telling her story about, you know, I guess her sobriety journey without that, but she didn't want to be labelled as this. And so I'm like, I felt the exact opposite. I was glad to know this is what I am, and there was a community out there to support me and love me. Yeah. I was just happy.
Yeah, when I come back, I knew. I said, I admitted defeat. Yeah. And then when I was sitting in that gutter that Saturday night, you know, I said, I'm just done. I'm done. I need to do something. But I still had that fleeting thing when I came back, when I came to the rooms, go, maybe these people are just going to teach me how to drink and when to stop.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
Yeah. But yeah, very quickly I saw, no, that's not what this is all about.
Yeah. Look, it's very rare these days that I sit there and go, oh, I'd love to have a wine or a beer. Very, very rare. I don't have a desire to drink anymore. The occasional, oh, it would be nice to have this it's just not worth it because I know where it'll end up. I know where that one drink will take me. I know what the end of the road looks like because I've been down there so many times. The amount of times I said to myself, it'll just be one bottle of wine tonight. It will be this. I'll try and cut back. And it just does not happen.
I actually had an episode probably about 6 or 7 months ago where I was going to the bottle shop. It wasn't, I'm missing that drink. It wasn't about the missing the drink. I just I don't know. was a weak moment, I suppose, where my head was just that noisy that I needed something to shut it down.
Yeah.
I thank God again, I got the boss shop and the boss shop was closed, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, well, it's meant to be. So, and I didn't bother going and looking. I'm sure if I went and looked, I could have found something that would have been open, but yeah.
It's funny how we have those God moments. And look, I'm not ashamed to say it. I think when you have times like that where you go, if this and this fall into place, I'm going to go get a drink, and then something happens.
Yeah.
It's like I got sober, and I was about 3 months in, and I was away with some work colleagues, and they were all drinking, and I had said to myself at the start of the night, if they offer me a drink, I'll drink. And they didn't. And they were like, they're good guys. Like they're nice people. They're friendly. They're, it doesn't make sense that they didn't offer me a drink that night, unless they secretly hated me and had no idea. Who's this prick?
I haven't had a problem with any of that. I've never stopped going to functions with people. I go to the club almost every Friday.
Yeah.
We'll go out dancing.
Yeah. Mate, it's good if you can dance.
Surrounded by alcoholics everywhere and falling apart. My partner drinks. I'll go up and buy her a drink.
Yeah.
I've got no problem. But that moment was one of those moments where I went, I should know better. But that's me putting pressure on them. I just got to be careful of those weak moments.
Have you ever dealt with any stigma surrounding alcoholism?
No, I've been quite good. Look, every job I've had for the last sort of 7 years, I've been up front. As soon as I go interviews, I've been up front.
Yeah.
And I tell them I'm a recovering alcoholic. I don't drink. I don't take drugs. Because if I do get that job and there's going to be a function, there's going to be this, going to be that, the person that I'm going to be dealing with already knows. Well, I'm not going to offer him, hopefully. Okay. I'm not going to offer him a drink because, he's an alcoholic. He's a recovering alcoholic.
Oh, look, I'm pleased that you can be that open and honest about it. I personally, I don't tell anyone. Nobody knows apart from my wife. That's it, and the people in the rooms.
Yeah,
that is it. I don't say anything to anyone.
A lot of at first, it was like a proud thing.
Yep.
So it was actually, I don't drink anymore, but that's still the ego.
Yeah.
Now it's just, if I'm going to have the honest conversation with you and you're interviewing me for a job or whatever it is, I'm going to be honest, where you read how it works.
Yeah.
Constitutionally capable of being honest with yourself.
That's true.
So if I'm not telling you who I am, I'm not being honest. And I'm not even being honest with myself, really.
No, for sure. So look, we're coming to a close now. What advice would you give to someone who's struggling with alcohol?
Come to the rooms, give it a go. And I hear it over and over and over again, people that have done rehab, and I'm not putting a stigma on rehab or anything. And from being in rooms, I got, especially in the first 4 or 5 years, I got around to many, many, many meetings. I was doing meetings every day, everywhere, Blue Mountains, Canberra, all sort of stuff. And it works. Yeah. It simply works. All I had to do is accept what my disease is. The only problem I had with alcohol is I just didn't know what to stop. It's me. Yeah. That's what my disease really is. It's what goes on in between the ears, learning that. So give AA a go. Give AA, NA, GA, whatever your poison may be, because there's a lot of people that listen, hopefully, that just got different parts of the disease. It's all one disease. The rooms work. All you got to be willing to look at yourself.
No, excellent. Look, I've really enjoyed our time together, Lewis.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you so much for coming in. Why don't you close us out with the Serenity Prayer?
Yeah, sure. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Thanks a lot for your time, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Beyond Sobriety. Just before we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a gentle reminder. If you happen to recognize anyone who shared their story on this podcast, I urge you to respect their anonymity and privacy. Let's create a safe space where individuals can feel empowered to share their experience without fear of judgment or disclosure. And if you found today's episode helpful or inspiring, I encourage you to share Beyond Sobriety with somebody who might benefit from it. Together, we can spread awareness, support, and hope to those still struggling with alcohol addiction. Remember, your feedback is invaluable to us. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, or stories you'd like to share, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at beyondsobrietyaa@gmail.com. Thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, stay strong, stay sober, and remember, you're not alone in this journey. I'm Michael, and I'm an alcoholic.